You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your ability. You're capable of anything. You can achieve any dream. Please don't limit yourself. Don't live your life limited. It's not all sadness and misery. Life's a challenge, but you will succeed. Take control of how you feel in every circumstance. Work on yourself.
Good morning, everybody. Ryan here with the Power of Helping People, episode 1. Man, I am really excited about today. This is episode 1 of the Power of Helping People. What's really cool about this episode, I have the honor and the pleasure to introduce one of my buddies. We met back in March of 2014. And what better way to meet somebody in a gym? Okay, so our CrossFit gym was a place where I was pretty overweight and I wanted to go in and I really wanted to lose some weight. So I met this guy, Dusty, and man, what a supportive guy. He's always been one of those guys that is right by your side and loves helping out. So, what better way to introduce this guy? I'm going to bring him on here, give a little introduction, but you know what? This guy has the faith in him, the power. He literally strives to be better every single day. So let's welcome Dusty in here. What's going on, Dusty? How you doing, bud?
Good. How's it going, Ryan?
Good, man. So I'm really excited to have you in here. Back a little while back when I decided to start this podcast, I really wanted to pick the best person for the first podcast. So what better person to have than my buddy Dusty Meissen, and then I really think that with him being here today, you guys are going to be blown away. So I'm going to go into a couple little things and we're going to ask some questions, but this is the Power of Helping People, and where our mission is to help one person every single day. And by spreading this out in the universe and the world, what better way to impact thousands of people if everybody else can do this? So first and foremost, I'm going to introduce Dusty. Dusty actually was born in Muskegon, and he graduated from Teeth Puffer High School. So I think that was back in 1990, wasn't it? 91. So that's telling your age right there, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You probably had a birthday, or you're having a birthday coming up.
A couple weeks, yep.
Couple weeks.
38, yes.
Oh, look at that. So Dusty, first and foremost, I want to introduce and tell you a little bit about, what you do for a living. So you worked at Continental, and Continental you worked for 19 years. Tell me a little bit about Continental, since you worked there so long, because not many people work at a place for 19 years. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about Continental, what they're all about, and why you've been there so long.
Yeah. So I'm an electrical engineer by degree, Michigan State alum, and coming out of college, I ended up at what was Delphi then, is now Active, and then I jumped to Continental shortly thereafter. And like you said, I spent almost 20 years there. Great company to work for. I started out in engineering, worked my way up through project management, and ultimately into sales, where I felt it was a good fit for me. But it's just a great company that supports all of their employees, and is a very successful company in the auto industry, and really strives to put their people in a position to succeed. So, great career there, and had a lot of support throughout the entire time.
So I actually did a little research on Continental, because I'm one of those guys that are really interested in core values and stuff. So I wanted to read these core values out, because I thought, what a better place to work, and I think that's why you've been there so long. So I'm going to read a couple core values out, and then you can kind of give a little elaboration on that. But their core values, the first one was trust. We earn the trust we give. And I think that stands a lot of, if you trust the company you work for and you believe in them, you want to be there. And so that'll tell you a little bit about why you've been there for 19 years. Do you feel that the trust of the company and the trust in you, do you feel that's a big purpose of why you were there for 19 years?
Yeah, it goes both ways, obviously. You need to be trusted as an employee, as a manager, to take care of your people, to help the business succeed. But you need to have that trust in your organization as well, that they're trying to do the right things as a company. Otherwise, that's why a lot of people move on. So if you trust your organization is trying to do the correct things, it's really easy to stay there for a long time and be successful, and in turn help them be successful.
I totally agree. I mean, we have a very key thing for our core values. I mean, our motto and our logo is family, culture, and integrity. I mean, we strive by that every single day, and we want to put that out there so we know that our employees do that every single day, and we are a family company. So, I mean, it sounds like a lot. Continental is the same. They also have a passion to win. If you're not winning as a company, you're losing and you won't be around very long. So I thought that was a pretty cool core value. I also, it says one of them was freedom to act. We grow with freedom and it's a responsibility. So, I mean, I think that's another big testament to the company too. And, you know, it speaks a lot of volume for you because you've been there so long in 19 years. But tell me a little bit about your jump. You jumped about 3 years ago to a company for director of sales out of North America. Tell me a little bit about that company and what they're all about.
Yeah, so I'm currently with Argus Cybersecurity, which is actually an independent subsidiary of Continental. But because they're independent, I had to leave Continental and rejoin kind of within Argus. What we do is cybersecurity for the automotive industry. So we ensure your vehicles aren't getting hacked, the bad guys aren't doing bad things to your vehicle or the overall vehicle fleet. It's been an interesting jump. I have the entire North American landscape within automotive, so your traditional big threes as well as your West Coast electric vehicles, commercial vehicles, basically anything you can drive. We do stuff in the agriculture area. Anything you can drive, we're working with those customers. Same type of core values. We are headquartered in Israel, though, so the vast majority of my team is in Tel Aviv, Israel, which is an awesome place to go with very, very innovative people. And same type of core values, though. I have all the support I need from my organization back in Israel, and it makes it really easy to want to be a successful, hardworking employee for them.
What is the time change, and how does that affect you when you're working towards them in different? You have to work all midnights, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it's 7 hours difference.
Oh, that's not bad.
They're 7 hours ahead, which means my mornings are usually pretty loaded with meetings with my team there. The nice part is that means my afternoons are relatively open to focus on my customers. So I end up splitting. I tend to focus internally within the company in the mornings and externally to my customers in the afternoon. It really makes a nice split. Another interesting change, though, is Israel weekends are Friday and Saturday. So they work Sunday through Thursday. So my Fridays internally are a little slower. My Sundays are typically a little busier than most American Sundays. But
Yeah.
it works out. Everyone's flexible. As you know, flexibility is the key. And especially in today with so many people working remote and being global organizations, you have to be flexible. I've had customers around the world throughout my career. So when I had Chinese customers, it wasn't uncommon to have meetings at 11 at night. And you just adjust and adapt and have flexibility. But again, your organization has to have flexibility towards you to make that work. And fortunately, mine does.
So tell me a little bit about the whole COVID thing with your company. Has it affected your company? Has it affected your work? Has it affected the employees there? Tell me a little bit about that and, what you guys are doing to try to make that change.
Yeah, and as with everyone, it of course had an effect. I mean, it's a once in a lifetime pandemic. It's affected us all. I had a pretty flexible work environment anyway, so I was working from home, working in the office, whatever worked on a given day to be as efficient as possible. But the biggest impact has been my customers, General Motors, Ford, Stellantis. Those guys, they've been out of the office for over a year and they're still not in the office. A big part of what I do, leading the business for North America. I need to see those people face to face, and not being able to do that has been difficult. So obviously we adjust. We do things like I'm sitting here talking to you and we're not in the same place. Same thing. I'm doing a lot of Zoom meetings and things like that. But to be honest, I miss the face to face, sitting down in a meeting room, finding out how their kids are. Just the personal side of it's a little tougher in the virtual meeting environment. But hey, you have to adapt and move on, and that's what we've done. And now hopefully we're coming out of that and going back to a more normal business environment, but maybe keeping some of the positives that came along with that, the flexibility, the working from home, the being able to meet in multiple regions remotely via Zoom or whatever else you use.
So you brought up something interesting. You said your kids. So we're going to dive into your kids, because you know what? I'm a father and of 4, same as you, and I know personally it's a balance. It's family, kids, and work. That's the balance. But you seem to really, really put the time into your kids. I'm going to go and tell, you have 4 kids. Tristan is your oldest. And he talk about a stud. Played at Clarkston's, got a championship ring, a class. What is that class? He's got two rings. Okay, so he's got 2 rings. Class A. What is that? Is it Class A? What is the league that he was in?
Yeah, so they were in the Oakland Athletic Conference, but they're Class A. So 2 basketball Class A state titles in 2017 and 2018.
Tell me who he played with at Clarkston. Just throw out a couple names that he actually played with. That you and I are green. We bleed green and white. Yes. So tell a little bit about who he played with up there at Clarkston.
His team was one of the, in my slightly biased opinion, but a lot would agree with me. His team was one of the best the state of Michigan has seen in a long time. So the first year they had Dylan Alderson, who ended up playing at Toledo and then moved on to Indiana Wesleyan. So Division I player, amazing athlete and kid. So Dylan was good. And then from our green side, the same grade as Tristan was Foster Lawyer. So Foss went to Michigan State and has recently transferred to Davidson. And keep your eye on this kid. He's going to have a successful season at Davidson. And then he also played with Thomas Kittier, who also went to Michigan State and now is at Valparaiso. Taylor Curry, who went to Wisconsin and has moved on to a few schools since then. Matt Nicholson, who is at Northwestern University, so another Big Ten kid. CJ Robinson went to Lake Superior State with my son Tristan. They played there together. And the list goes on and on. But a couple other NAIA D2, D3 players, as well as some really, really good kids who chose not to play in college.
I will personally agree that is probably the best team that I've seen. And the reason why is because look at that lineup. I mean, it's pretty amazing when you have that many Division I kids that go out and play next level, so it's pretty cool on that. We'll go to right down the list. We'll go to Landon.
Yeah, so Landon is my 15-year-old son. He is at Oxford High School. Landon played basketball growing up like Tristan, football a little bit like Tristan, and then he kind of took his own path. So now he is on the Oxford cross country team and Oxford golf team. He's excited to be getting his driver's license here in a few months. End of August, he turns 16. He's a little more excited than me, I think. But, it's always a scary time. Yours are younger, so just wait, buddy. It's a scary time when they start to drive. But yeah, so great kid. He's he's really helpful around here with everything we have going on. And
you have good kids, so I mean that shows a lot from you as a parent. But we're gonna go to the next one, Parker, because I know Parker pretty well because I have a daughter the same age and they're in the same class and they played volleyball together. So tell a little bit about Parker. She's a very talented girl, but tell a little bit about Parker.
Sure. So Parker is 13 now and going into the 8th grade at Oxford Middle School. Plays volleyball, loves volleyball, plays travel volleyball in the same program as Ryan's daughter. plays middle school ball. They were on the same team. They've played together in the past. So she loves volleyball. She's a little bit unique from my other kids. She has an artsy side as well. I don't know where she gets that. It's definitely not from me. She's very artistic. She's a great singer. She plays the piano a little bit. She's into acting. She's done multiple plays. All of that side, I don't know where it comes from. Her mom's not really like that either. But it's a skill set that she has that's a little different from the rest of the family, and makes her a little unique. But she's really helpful around here. She's my only daughter, which is makes it a little extra special. But yeah, she's a great girl, and that's kind of what she's all about.
So you know what I like most about Parker is she's very confident, and I think that the confidence in her comes out, and you got to be a confident woman in today's world. So that's what I try to teach my girls, is to be a confident person and be yourself, So and the last but not least, we got Grady here. So isn't he the stud, the kid? He plays basketball. He looks up to his older brother. Tell me a little bit about him.
So Grady's my youngest. He's 8 and going into the 3rd grade. And being the 4th kid, we'll see soon with summer, I'm sure. But being the 4th, they learn a lot from their older siblings. So, he's 8. He has a 21, 15, and 13-year-old older siblings. So he picks everything up. So he's a little more mature than most 8-year-olds in some good ways, some bad ways. And he loves all sports, pretty much any sport. He loves basketball, football. He wants to try lacrosse now. He's got a few others. So pretty much anything you can throw in front of him, he loves. He's very outgoing. He's very social. And I think it's being the 4th kid. It's kind of, by the time we got to him, the other kids were kind of leading the way, and he just followed suit. So yeah, so that's it though. 4, we're done.
He is very competitive, just like my son, around the same age. Every time they're around each other, they want to play sports. They want to wrestle. They want to do this. So it's pretty cool about that. They've actually wrestled together. I think they've. I don't know if they played any other sports together, but I think they just wrestled. And besides playing, a little pickup stuff here and there. But we're gonna go to the most important person in your life, your sweetheart, Katie. Tell me a little bit about Katie, and before you go into telling me about Katie, I really want you to go into detail, meaning when you met her and when you first fell in love. Because the reason why I say that is because that is a very powerful point in your life. And I like to tell my story, so I know other people like to tell their story, but I really want the details, like how you met, where your first date was. And I know I'm putting you on the spot right now, but as us gentlemen, we should pretty much know all that stuff, or otherwise we're going to be in the doghouse. So we're gonna put you in the doghouse, or we're gonna put you as a hero. So let's see what you got here.
Excellent. Yeah. So my wife Katie and I met. I was 28 actually. So I was single a little longer than a lot longer than you, and longer than many. But we actually were set up on a blind date by mutual friends. So we went to Chi-Chi's, which no longer exists, right? But we got a little Mexican food, and it was pretty much from that first night, we were together nonstop. So got married a few years later, and then obviously started going down the road with kids and stuff. But Katie's a very motivated person. She was in nursing school when we met, working to become a registered nurse. Right when we met, she was close to finishing that up. So then she started her career shortly after we started dating as a nurse. The whole time she was a nurse, she was continuing her education, getting her bachelor's in nursing, and then her master's in nursing, and ultimately her doctorate. So she was in school for a long time, and had really strong goals that she was chasing professionally, and I was there to support that, of course. She now is a professor at Oakland University in the nursing department. Really loves that. Really loves helping new nursing students. It's a very important profession that we really need more of. And she likes teaching the new up and coming kids. She teaches in the graduate program and the undergrad. And then she also has her own family practice here at Oxford, where she sees patients in her office, of course, like a traditional family practice, but she also does house calls, telehealth. She does a lot for the elderly community, where she goes to elderly facilities where those people can't get out as easy, and takes care of their family care. So she's a very busy person with a couple careers going on, as well as taking care of me and all the kids and everything else she does. But yeah, very successful professionally, and yeah, does all that with still being a great person. Pretty amazing.
So here's the thing for our guests that are listening. So you and I have 4 kids.
Yes.
We married 2 good-looking women that are both nurses, NPs, and very successful, on top of us both being salespeople. I think we pretty got a lot in common, and I was telling in the first intro podcast that, when you hang out with people, you are who you hang out with. So it's usually the top 5 people who you hang out with. So what better way? And first and foremost, I want to congratulate you for being at a place for 19 years, and not only 19 years, you've been there 3 more years because it's a subsidiary of Continental. So you've technically been there 22 years of your life, and I really want to commend you on that and congratulate you on that. So we're gonna go back into your childhood right now. We're gonna dig deep, and we're gonna so obviously you've got this drive. You've been somewhere for 22 years. You've really worked really hard. I want to ask you, as a child, who is that one impactful person that made you where you're at today, and who pushed you and drove you to be that person today?
That's a good question. Narrowing it to one is pretty difficult. If I have to narrow it to one, it was probably my dad. I put my mom and dad together in that. But my parents were very influential. I was lucky. My parents are still married. I didn't have to go through the divorce challenges many people go through. I've been blessed most of my life with a lot of positive things. But my parents were, very impactful throughout my childhood, putting me in sports. I was super competitive kid, and still I am very competitive, but they gave me opportunities to try any sport I wanted. So, I've played them all pretty much, and with varying levels of success, but they never said, no, we're too busy for that. I grew up a hockey kid mostly, and so they were driving me all over. And, when you're a kid, you don't realize the investment that takes, not just financially, from a time standpoint. They were busy as well. And they were driving my little brother and I wherever we had to go to play hockey, putting that financial investment in. It's not a cheap sport. And they somehow found a way to, make that happen where, we never felt like it was a struggle. I'm sure it was for them. So they always drove me to get good grades. That wasn't an option. But they did it in a positive way. It wasn't, I never felt, they did it in a positive way. So, that set me up to go to a good college, the best college, and really set me up for my future. So, I had a lot of other positive influences along the way, baseball coaches, wrestling coaches primarily, family is very important to me. So, uncles, I have an uncle who's only 10 years older than me who, I followed around everywhere like a big brother. And, he had a big influence on my life, especially the sports side of it. So lots of very positive influences, but my parents kind of laid that groundwork and put me around the right people, and, laid the groundwork for that success.
Yeah, dude, that's amazing. And you brought up a couple good points. I mean, I grew up in a background that didn't have a married couple. My mom and dad got divorced when I was very, very young. So I leaned on my grandfather, and I leaned on my uncle. My uncle actually taught me a lot about sports. And my uncle, we have a lot in common with that, is because my uncle took me to the state games when I was younger. So that's what I became a big Spartan fan. I think the first game I went to was like 7 or 8 years old. And I think after that, I was going on a continual basis every year. And it really impacted me because when you take kids to events like that, and as you know, they fall in love. Just like when Grady was watching Tristan play basketball, he didn't know he loved basketball, but he knew he had to love basketball because he knew his big brother was doing it. And then, all the attention and the wins that go along with that. So, we're in a winning, world right now. And if you're winning, you're always moving up that next level. We call it leveling up. But You brought up wrestling. Okay, let's go into the wrestling because I've talked to you about this before, and I know that you have a brother that's wrestled with you, and you guys competed back and forth. And I think, did you tell me your brother was better than you, or you were better than your brother?
You're gonna make me say this.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am. That's why we're digging deep. We're digging deep. So
My brother was 3.5 years younger than me. He was better than me. So I have a love-hate relationship with the sport. It taught me a lot. I really think that it's good for people to be involved in team sports. You learn so much from that. You learn to work with others. I played baseball and, like I said, pretty much every other team sport imaginable growing up, and you get a lot from that. But then if you shift to the individual sports like wrestling and golf and things like that, it gives you kind of a different skill set for life. There's no one to blame. If you lose, it's all on you, and you learn to take that on. So it gives you a different skill set. Both are important. So if your kids do individual and team sports, I think that's the best of both worlds. But I was fairly successful. I had some opportunities to wrestle in college that I chose not to pursue. At one point, way back in the day, 1991, I had our school record for most wins, which my brother 3 years later decided to crush. So he held the record for a few years, and it's since been surpassed by a few people. But yeah, he had to make me look bad. But hey, I take that as a success too. If our younger siblings are successful, they are successful because we laid the groundwork for them. So so my little brother Ryan, he's a very successful guy, and I take credit for all of it.
and I'm gonna call it on the carpet too. My brother's better than me at sports, and I credit myself, and just like you do, I credit myself for constantly pushing them to be better every single day. And just like I do with my kids, I push them to be better every single day. And I think you do the same. Is you said in an individual sport and in the team sport, they learn to win as a team and lose as a team. They learn to lose as an individual and they win as an individual. So there's two different, sets in your mind that you're like, oh yes, I did it all myself. But you know what? I get really passionate about winning with others. I like to win with others. So it gives you that individual sport, but it gives you that team atmosphere because a lot of people like to win as a team. Yep. So I wanted to definitely bring that up. The reason why is because we have a lot in common. And as you know, it's getting more and more common. And that's why when I was digging in, I was really excited to do this interview, is because a lot of the stuff that I dug up is just similar to my life, so let's go a little bit farther. Okay. I want to basically read something real quick that you posted, and we're going to go really deep now. And so get ready, everybody. So I read something that you posted, and it said, I want to inspire people. I want someone to look at me and say, because of you, I didn't give up. Now, I posted that several months ago, I believe, and you posted that. And I live by that. And I believe that quote is we have to impact lives. And I think that this podcast is going to impact thousands of people. And that's why I brought you on here. So I'm gonna read something that you posted basically May 17th. Okay. So last year you were dealt pretty much some bad news. Okay. And I want you to share that news, and I want you to say how it impacted your life. But I want to read your post real quick. Your post basically was a picture. It said, one day you will tell your story of how you overcome what you're going through now, and it will become part of someone else's survival guide. Now, I started this podcast for the power of helping people. Okay. And I think this next 15 to 30 minutes of this podcast is going to be where it impacts a lot of people. And the reason why I say that is because you personally are what people look up to, because your faith and your drive and your passion to fight this thing is amazing. And I just want to tell you that I look up to you. And every single day is we were talking about it yesterday. If somebody's complaining about minute things, stop complaining, because other people in this world, things are happening to far and far way worse than what you're going through. If you're at a restaurant and you get a bad burger or a bad food, it's not a big deal. We as humans and individuals, and this is why I started this podcast, is because we need to help every single person be better. And so why don't you tell us about that day and what that impacted, because it was in September of 2020, right? So let's go
Yep,
deep.
September 19th.
Go ahead and
So
go deep.
I'll give you a little background for this. As you've heard from the background of my life, I was blessed. 2 parents, still married, great brother, met the love of my life, had 4 amazing kids, had a career path that is everything I could dreamed of. It was all going really good. Early spring of last year, I started having some stomach issues. They couldn't quite figure it out. After lots of testing and going through some difficulties, September 19th, I went in for what they told me was just to be safe and do a biopsy. And they found a tumor in my pancreas. So September 19th of 2020, I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Pancreatic cancer is not one you want to get. It is all cancer is bad, but it's a really bad one. And it was a shocking day. So it hit me hard. It knocked me down. Probably worse, definitely worse than anything in my life. But after a few days of being knocked down, I really did some soul searching, and I just decided that I'm not just going to sit there and let it win. So I started doing a lot of research. I met with my oncologist. We started putting together a medical plan, which is the first important thing. In parallel to that medical plan, I started putting together my plan for life. So that kind of getting that kind of kick in the stomach that you have a really severe terminal illness, it knocks you down a little, but it also gives you insight. You realize what's important in life. You really look at, man, having a good job is great. I shouldn't complain about it. Having these amazing kids, an awesome wife, I'm blessed. Being here, seeing the sunshine, being on this earth, those are all things that you take for granted normally. I decided to stop taking them for granted, and I decided to start really approaching things a little bit differently in order to fight this thing the best I can. So first and foremost, I have a great medical team at Carmanos who's taking good care of me. I'm going through chemo. I've gone through radiation. They tried to do a surgery. We've gone through a lot there. In the medical side, I fully trust my team, and I'm just leaving it to them. But the other side is how I deal with it on a day-to-day. And there's a few things that really get me through that. The first is my faith. I was a faithful person before this, but looking at a terminal illness really brings you closer to God, and you really start to dive into that walk with Christ, and that's what I've done. I kind of took on the mantra of faith over fear from the beginning. So I'm leaning into my faith, and I'm fighting that fear. I'm not going to be afraid of it. So that's been a very important part. So my faith has been like really the foundation of what's got me through this. The second thing is a positive attitude. And I just decided, I can be sick and I can be sad and I can be miserable, but why? So I've tried to have a positive attitude and really carry that day to day, and really jump into that. And then I've also tried to stay physically healthy, which is the third thing. I've tried to kind of find a way to fight it back. So I'm not like I was when we were back in the gym, but I'm running quite a bit. I'm on the Peloton. I'm hitting the heavy bag. I'm finding physical ways to fight back against this thing, and that's really helped me. It's helped me physically and it's helped me emotionally. And then the final thing is the fourth thing is my support system has been amazing through this. Obviously, my wife first and foremost, but I was worried about my kids when I was diagnosed, and man, they've handled it way more maturely than I could have ever expected, and really stepped up, and they've helped more around the house. It's been pretty amazing. And then just friends and family. I post on Facebook, and I get hundreds of comments every time I post something, just of support and love, and that's kind of carried me through this. So I'm approaching a year of being a pancreatic cancer warrior, and I'm as strong as I was a year ago. I'm more positive. I appreciate life more, and I plan on being around to fight this thing for a while. So it was a huge kick in the stomach. It was really tore me up, but after a couple of days, I was like, look, I'm going to take this thing on. I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to fight it. And I said from the beginning, there's a reason for everything. It's not my job to understand it. It's God's plan. But there's a reason that I have what I have. And I believe that reason is to be able to help other people. So if I make a positive post on Facebook about, hey, I made it through another round of chemo, feeling good, hitting the gym, and like someone's having a bad day and they go, whew, I guess my day is not that bad. And I help them pick themselves up, then, it was a successful day for me. So that's kind of where I've taken it.
That's I think that's first and foremost why I wanted you on as the first person, is because of how positive you are. And there's a shirt behind me that I've had for a while. As soon as you ended up getting it, I bought it, and it said basically faith over fear. And it's like, you need to have your faith, because if you don't have your faith, you have nobody in your corner. You have to have that faith so you can actually get through day to day, every single day. And with your positive energy, is just amazing. I mean, it literally is amazing, because if you put something like we were talking about yesterday, and you just said, is there is far worse problems out there than somebody having a bad day. We need, as a community, as friends, as family, is to support every single person in a positive manner and help them out. And so that's why I started this podcast, and that's why you're here today, is because you are going to impact a lot of people. People are going to listen to this, and they're going to say, I need to start taking my life for granted. Not for granted. I mean, I need to literally dive in and say, there's a purpose for me to be here, and I need to do that. I need to stop making excuses, and I just need to do it. And that's what you're doing. You're not making excuses. You're going at it hard, and you're doing it. And I think that's amazing. And I'm going to read that quote again that I said earlier. And it says, I want to inspire people. I want someone to look at me and say, because of you, I didn't give up. Man, doesn't that represent Dusty right now, guys? I mean, he is not giving up. He's going to fight this. It's faith over fear, and he's going to knock this out of the park. So I think I'm gonna go into some other stuff, but I think that I pray for you every single day, and I think with all the help out there, I think everybody else that's listening to this right now is going to pray for you, and I think miracles are going to happen, because you are an individual of faith. And if you don't have faith, you don't have anything, and that's what I always say. So let's dive a little bit more into this stuff. So I want you to tell me a little bit about. I know you touch base with your kids a little bit, but I want you to tell me a little bit about your kids and something that you would want to tell them. If you could look in the camera right now, and you could say a message to your kids. I want you to say what's on your mind and tell them exactly what you're thinking.
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't think it's any different with what I'm going through now, but it's for me, it's always been, you guys can be successful as you want to be at whatever you want to be, right? This is always the message. It's you can basically do whatever you want if you put the effort in, and you find what fits your skill set, and that's the most important thing for me. I don't have it. I'm an engineering degree, like I told you. I don't have an engineer out of any of my 4 kids. I know that already. Not one of them is interested. They're not going to follow in my path. Tristan's pre-med. He's probably going to follow mom's path a little bit, and the others, it's a little too young to tell. But whatever that path is, it doesn't matter. Whatever you want to be, it doesn't matter. Just be the best at it that you can be, and whatever that is, make it about more than just making money or just being in a position of power. Making money and being in positions of power, being successful, being the next Jeff Bezos, whatever it is, that allows you to help a lot of people. Having money, having power, having being in positions where you have success, that allows you to help other people, and you will get a lot more satisfaction out of doing that than you will just stocking money in your bank account. That's good too, but definitely use whatever your success is in life to help others, and to pull them up, basically.
Yeah, and I think too is just when you're saying that, I tell my kids a lot is you got to have fun, you got to enjoy what you do, and you got to give 100%. That's
Yeah.
it. That's all you got to do. Because if you do those three things, you're going to be successful no matter what you do. Because you could be making $1 million a year and be totally miserable, or you could be making $50,000 a year and be the happiest guy in the world. I mean, it's that simple. So that's why we want, as individuals in this podcast, is you don't have to be, a Jeff Bezos and make all this money. But guess what? If you were Jeff Bezos and you had that kind of money, how many people could you impact? And like you said, you have to make sure
Yep.
that you give 110% every single time. Now, Dusty, you're a fighter. I look at you I look up to you. You've got that eye of the tiger, fire in you. And I want to tell a couple funny stories here, to lighten the mood a little bit. But you last Friday, I actually was talking to your neighbor the other day, and he said, I heard this buzzing noise, and his room's on the same side as your garage, and he heard this buzzing noise and he didn't know what was going on. But he actually, the next morning, he looked on Facebook and you were getting a mohawk. So can you show the people your mohawk and tell people why you did it? And because it's I think it's pretty cool. And if you had that when we were at CrossFit, I think I would have did it too.
It started kind of as a joke, but I've been fortunate. I've gone through starting in late September of last year. I started a chemo protocol that was really aggressive and really just beats up your body. And I went through that till the end of the year, and then I did some radiation and different chemo, and now I'm back on that really aggressive one. I'm through 5 of 8 cycles. Anyways, through all of that, almost a year of it, I haven't lost any of my hair. So, that's what everyone always thinks about when you get cancer. Like the first thing, right? You're going to lose your hair. And I haven't. But the last few weeks, it's started to fall out a little bit. It just not to where it's really visible, but it's kind of annoying. It's on my pillow, whatever. So we were with some friends having a dinner, and I'm like, I need to shave my head. And my friend Chris said, well, we can do that right now. And I said, well, let's not shave all of it at once. Let's do a mohawk. That's what's up. So it kind of was a really quick decision, but I like it. I was laughing with my boss earlier today. I told him, as far as I know, I am the only executive in the auto industry with a mohawk. It makes me time. Now, if there are others out there, I'm going to start a club, but I think I am the only one with a mohawk. Eventually, I'll probably have to shave it off because it'll all start falling out. But for now, I'm gonna rock the mohawk, and I'll be the only automotive exec with one. I hope I'm one of a kind.
Well, I actually did a mohawk during COVID. I actually had a mustache and a mohawk. So I think you need to grow the mustache now too.
You've known me long enough, Ryan, to know that that's a losing battle. I can't. It looks horrible, and to be honest, it's pretty much completely white now, so you can barely see it even when I can grow a little beard. So we're gonna skip that step, and maybe eventually I'll grow it and I'll look like Mr. T or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
So I actually reached out to your oldest, Tristan, and I asked him. I wanted him to tell me a story, and he basically said that it was a story that you told him that I believe you put it on Facebook, but it was a story when he was a younger kid and he peed in Old Navy. Can you tell me that story and tell me a little bit the details? I want to know how it happened, what you did, and what kind of parent, when he sees this kid doing that, what do you do?
This is I can't believe he told you that because now he'll be embarrassed by it. But he was maybe 2 or 3. He was really little. But he was through the potty training stage, and we were in Old Navy, and Katie and I were at the checkout line paying whatever, and he was like, Dad, I have to go pee. And I'm like, okay, whatever, give us a minute, let us pay. Well, he didn't give us a minute. He walked, and you know how Old Navy has the glass doors and the whole glass front. He just decided he was going to go outside. So he walked out, the automatic doors opened, and he decided that was far enough, dropped his pants around his ankle, and proceeded to pee in the entrance to Old Navy as people were trying to get in. As a parent, I can't quite tell you how to correctly react to that. I can tell you Katie's response and mine were slightly different. She was mortified and didn't know how to react and was completely shocked. I started laughing hysterically. And and could not stop. I probably laughed as hard as I've ever laughed, but the store handled it pretty well. They cleaned up on aisle 6 type of thing, and then the patrons walking in were a little shocked, but we grabbed him and got out of there in a hurry. But yeah, the fun of being a parent, you never know what to expect.
So I have a similar story to that, and it's my son. It's my Gavin, my 9-year-old son, Gavin. We were coming home from a Michigan State tailgate, and he needed to go to the bathroom real quick. And I'm like, okay, well, let's just go to McDonald's real quick. You know that McDonald's that you go right before you get on 69? Yep. So we drove in there, and the kid couldn't even wait to go into the McDonald's. He literally dropped his drawers, and I took pictures of this, but he dropped his drawers, his butt, and you could see a stream going about 6 feet. It literally was like 6 feet. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And the bathroom's 20 feet away. Just go in there. Nope. Dropped his drawers right in the parking lot and just did it, as people are going through. So we all have one of those stories. And at least ours were pee and not poop. Yes, Could you imagine? So, but I actually want to tell a quote that I actually saw on your Facebook page, and I think that it's really it's going to resonate with a lot of people on this. And it says that it's from Stuart Scott. It says, life consists of 2 dates with a dash in between makes the dash count. So you basically got to make the dash count in between. We all, as individuals and humans, have to be positive and live your life to the fullest. Don't ever neglect a day. Yeah. We need to make sure every single day is grateful. We have to have more thanks for every single day that we're here. And I think that's what resonates with Dusty is, as you guys listen to this podcast, he's a man of faith. He's a man of gratitude. He's a man of helping others because, he's going to help a ton of people in this podcast. But I want to ask everybody one question before we end this whole thing is, so I said this in my first podcast in my intro, and I want to read this question. So basically, how do you want to live your life? That's a question that I ask everybody. How do you want to live your life? Do you want to live your life to the fullest? Do you want to live your life grateful? Do you want to live your life to impact thousands of people? Or do you want to go every single day and just do the bare minimum? Ask yourself that every single day. Because here's the thing. If you ask yourself that every single day, you will be a better person. So as you hear in my intro, you have to believe. You have to believe. And if you believe, good things happen. So I want to thank Dusty for being here. I want to thank him for taking the time out. I am so grateful to be your friend. I'm so grateful to watch you in this journey because I'm your number one supporter, and I really appreciate it. And I think now you're going to have a lot of people that is going to follow you. But first, before we end, I want you to plug your nonprofit because I believe that that's a huge thing that you guys can get out of this is I want people to help you. So why don't you plug your nonprofit, and then we'll go out and see how many people can help you out.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I'm glad we get a second to talk about that. So Katie and I started a nonprofit roughly a year and a half ago. COVID's put some things on hold, but we're still pushing forward with it. It started Katie's mission trip to Nicaragua spring of 2 years ago now, and a medical mission trip. They set up some family practices in churches and various buildings around the mountains of Nicaragua. Really cool stuff. Medical care down there is just really non-existent. She was able to help a lot of kids. They're struggling with a lot of chronic illnesses like diabetes and things like that. They helped a lot of people while she was down there. But when she came back, she had a feeling of there could be more. It's 1 week or 2 week medical mission. It's just not enough. So we started brainstorming ways we could help. And what we decided is a lot of what she did there could be done via telehealth. All we need to do is set up a computer down there. They have Wi-Fi even in the mountains of Nicaragua. Set up Wi-Fi down there, and you can do everything via telehealth from a computer. And her and nurse practitioners and doctors like herself up here in Michigan or anywhere else in the United States can help these patients with just some of their day-to-day health needs. So we started a nonprofit called Health Connect International, and our goal is basically to help vulnerable communities around the world with healthcare via telehealth. So we're starting in Nicaragua, and we're going to expand from there after we do a few years of trials. The idea is we'll go down, we'll set up a clinic there. The people will come in, sit in front of the computer. We'll have a nurse there helping out, taking blood pressure or whatever. And we will, and people like Katie and other doctors and nurse practitioners here will see those patients remotely via Zoom or services like that. And yeah, help them with their medical needs. So again, it's Health Connect International. We have a website you can go to. There's a donate button on there. I'd really appreciate it. Health Connect International, and you can help us help a lot of people around the world who do not get the healthcare we take for granted. Going through what I'm going through with my cancer, you really, really learn to appreciate the amazing healthcare we have in this country. It's not perfect, but man, I would not want to be anywhere else in the world dealing with what I'm dealing with. I have the best oncologists, the best radiologists, the best everything in the world. It's amazing. Other people are way less fortunate. So we're trying to help them in any little way we can. I'm just kind of running the business side of it, but Katie and the healthcare professionals are really the important ones behind that. And yeah, our goal is just to help as many people as possible.
So I'm going to put the link down on here when we post it up next Friday, but I'm going to put the link down so you guys can actually have a chance to donate. But I'd really like it if you guys took a chance just to, really help their mission out and really help people that are less fortunate, because we as Americans are very fortunate in our healthcare. And so having two, both of our wives being NPs and nurses, we can get the best health we can, but they can't. So let's help them. Let's donate. Let's do as best as we can. We'll have the link down there. But first and foremost, I want to thank you for sharing your amazing story. You're going to impact a ton of people, and I think people are going to start following you too. And that's what this is all about, is getting that support and getting the help that you need. So, I just want to let everybody know I appreciate it. And this is the first episode of The Power of Helping People. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Everybody, God bless.
You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your ability. You're capable of anything. You can achieve any dream. Please don't limit yourself. Don't live your life limited. It's not all sadness and misery. Life's a challenge, but you will succeed. Take control.